Pain itself can fade with time, but the one who caused that pain often remains etched in memory far longer than the wounds they left behind. This is one of the quiet truths of human life. Experiences hurt us, situations break us, and circumstances push us to the edge, yet with patience and healing, those pains slowly lose their sharpness. What rarely disappears is the face, the name, or the presence of the person who became the reason behind that suffering. The human heart has an unusual way of remembering people more vividly than events. Pain is not always loud. Sometimes it arrives gently, disguised as words spoken carelessly, promises broken silently, or trust shattered without warning. At first, the pain feels overwhelming, as if it will never end. Days feel heavy, nights feel endless, and the mind keeps replaying the same moments again and again. During this phase, it feels impossible to imagine a future where the pain does not control your emotions. Yet life has its own rhythm. Time moves forward even when we feel stuck, and with that movement, pain slowly begins to lose its grip. As days turn into months, the intensity of pain softens. The heart adapts, the mind learns to cope, and the soul starts rebuilding itself. You may not forget what happened, but you learn how to live with it. Laughter returns, routines feel normal again, and the weight on the chest becomes lighter. This is the miracle of human resilience. We are stronger than we believe, and even the deepest wounds can heal enough for us to move forward. However, while pain fades, the person who caused it often remains unforgettable. This is not because we want to remember them, but because emotions attach memories to people. A painful experience tied to a stranger may vanish quickly, but when the pain is caused by someone close, a friend, a lover, a family member, the memory becomes deeply rooted. The mind remembers not just the hurt, but also the trust that existed before it was broken. When someone we cared about becomes the source of our pain, the betrayal cuts deeper than the pain itself. It is not just about what they did, but about who they were to us. We remember their voice, their expressions, the moments of happiness shared before everything changed. These memories do not fade easily because they are mixed with love, hope, and expectation. Forgetting the pain is possible, but forgetting the person feels like erasing a chapter of our own life. There is also a psychological reason behind this. The human brain is designed to remember threats as a survival mechanism. When someone hurts us deeply, the mind marks them as a source of danger, ensuring we do not repeat the same mistake. This is why, even after healing, a single thought of that person can trigger discomfort. It is not weakness, it is self-protection. Many people blame themselves for not being able to forget those who hurt them. They think healing means complete amnesia, but that is not true. Healing does not mean forgetting, it means remembering without pain. It means reaching a point where the memory of that person no longer controls your emotions or decisions. You may remember them, but they no longer have power over your peace. Sometimes, the pain giver remains unforgettable because they taught us a lesson that changed us forever. Some people enter our lives not to stay, but to shape us. Through them, we learn the value of self-respect, boundaries, and emotional strength. The memory of such people stays with us because they mark a turning point in our journey. Without them, we might not have become who we are today. Forgiveness often enters this conversation, and it is widely misunderstood. Forgiving someone does not mean excusing their actions or inviting them back into your life. It simply means freeing yourself from the burden of hatred and resentment. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, not to the person who hurt you. Even after forgiveness, memory may remain, but it becomes lighter, less toxic. On the other hand, some choose not to forgive, and that is also a personal choice. Healing does not follow a single path. For some, peace comes from acceptance rather than forgiveness. They accept that what happened cannot be changed and choose to focus on the present instead of being trapped in the past. Acceptance allows pain to fade while memory remains as a quiet reminder, not an open wound. The most painful aspect is when the person who caused the pain moves on as if nothing happened. They laugh, live freely, and appear unaffected, while you carry the emotional weight. This imbalance often deepens the memory. It feels unfair that the one who hurt you sleeps peacefully while you struggle to heal. Yet with time, you realize that their peace or guilt is not your responsibility. Your healing is. Life teaches us that not everyone who smiles with us is meant to stay with us. Some people are temporary chapters, not lifelong stories. When they leave scars, those scars become symbols of survival rather than suffering. They remind us that we endured, we learned, and we grew. Painful memories often resurface unexpectedly. A song, a place, or a familiar scent can bring everything back in an instant. In those moments, it may feel like healing has failed. But healing is not linear. Moments of remembrance do not erase progress. They are simply echoes of the past, not signs that you are still trapped there. As time goes on, the memory of the person who hurt you changes. At first, it is sharp and emotional. Later, it becomes distant and neutral. Eventually, it may turn into a simple acknowledgement. This person was once part of my life, and now they are not. When you reach this stage, you realize that while you did not forget them, they no longer define you. The truth is, forgetting people is not always necessary. What matters is reclaiming your inner peace. You can remember without longing, recall without anger, and reflect without pain. That is true emotional freedom. The person who hurt you becomes just another character in your story, not the author of it. In the end, pain teaches us compassion, strength, and wisdom. It shows us the value of genuine relationships and warns us against blind trust. While we may forget the pain itself, the one who caused it remains as a lesson written in memory. And perhaps that is not a curse, but a form of protection, one that ensures we never allow the same wound to be reopened again. Life moves forward, and so do we. Pain fades, memories soften, and hearts heal. But the experiences that shape us leave traces, reminding us of where we have been and how far we have come. Forgetting pain is part of healing, but remembering the one who caused it is part of becoming wiser. Even when time has passed and life seems to have returned to normal, there is a quiet corner of the heart where certain memories sleep lightly. They do not disturb us every day, yet they never completely disappear. This is especially true when the pain came from someone we trusted deeply. Trust is not just an emotion, it is an investment of the soul. When it is broken, the loss feels personal, and the memory of the one who broke it becomes inseparable from the lesson learned. With maturity, many people realize that the pain itself was not the most damaging part of the experience. What truly hurt was the realization that someone we believed in was capable of causing such harm. This realization reshapes how we see people, relationships, and even ourselves. Innocence fades, expectations change, and caution quietly replaces blind faith. This transformation is subtle but permanent, which is why the person associated with that change remains unforgettable. There is also a strange contradiction in healing. On one hand, we want to move on and free ourselves from the past. On the other hand, we fear forgetting, because forgetting feels like allowing injustice to win. Remembering the person who hurt us sometimes feels like honoring our own pain, like acknowledging that what we went through mattered. It is not revenge or bitterness, it is validation of our own experience. As time passes, emotional maturity teaches us an important distinction. Remembering does not mean holding on. You can remember someone without wanting them back. You can acknowledge their role in your life without reopening old wounds. This understanding brings balance. The memory stays, but it no longer bleeds into the present. It becomes a closed chapter, not a recurring nightmare. Many people carry guilt for still remembering someone who caused them pain, especially when society constantly pushes the idea of forgive and forget. But forgetting is not always possible, nor is it necessary. Human memory is selective, and emotionally intense experiences naturally leave deeper imprints. Expecting yourself to erase those memories is unrealistic and unfair. Healing should be gentle, not forced. Sometimes, the reason the pain giver remains in our memory is because we never received closure. Words were left unsaid, questions unanswered, and explanations never given. The mind hates unfinished stories. It replays scenarios, imagines conversations, and searches for meaning. In such cases, the memory persists not because of attachment, but because of confusion. Closure does not always come from the other person. Often, it comes from within, when we finally stop asking, why, and start accepting, what is. Another hard truth is that pain often changes our standards. After being hurt, we become more careful about who we allow into our inner world. We listen more closely, observe more deeply, and trust more slowly. The person who caused us pain becomes a silent reference point, a reminder of what we will no longer tolerate. In this way, their memory becomes a protective boundary rather than a source of suffering. There are moments when we look back and realize that we ignored red flags, justified bad behavior, or sacrificed our own peace to keep someone else comfortable. These realizations can be painful, but they are also empowering. They teach self-respect. The memory of the one who hurt us then serves as a mirror, reflecting how much we have grown since then. It is also important to understand that not all pain givers are villains. Some people hurt others not out of cruelty, but out of their own brokenness. This does not excuse their actions, but it adds perspective. Understanding this can soften anger, even if the memory remains. Compassion does not mean reconciliation, it simply means releasing yourself from the heavy burden of hatred. As life moves forward, new people enter our lives. Some are kind, patient, and sincere. Through them, we experience what healthy connections feel like. These new experiences slowly rewrite our emotional language. We learn that love does not have to hurt, respect does not have to be demanded, and care does not come with conditions. Interestingly, it is often through these healthy relationships that the memory of past pain finally loses its power. Yet, even in happiness, the past sometimes whispers. A sudden silence, a familiar behavior, or a moment of vulnerability can trigger old memories. When this happens, it is important not to judge yourself. Healing is not about never remembering, it is about responding differently when you do. Instead of drowning in the memory, you observe it, acknowledge it, and let it pass. With wisdom, we learn that the heart is not a place of erasure, but of transformation. Pain does not disappear, it evolves. It becomes understanding. It becomes caution. It becomes strength. The person who once caused tears becomes a distant memory associated more with growth than grief. There comes a time when you can speak about that person without your voice shaking. When their name no longer tightens your chest. When their absence no longer feels like a loss, but like relief. This stage does not arrive suddenly. It is built slowly, through self-care, self-reflection, and self-respect. When it arrives, you realize that while you still remember them, they no longer hold space in your emotional present. True healing also involves redefining self-worth. Pain caused by others often makes us question our value. We wonder what we lacked or what we did wrong. Over time, healing teaches us that someone else's inability to love or respect us properly is not a measure of our worth. The memory of the pain giver then becomes a reminder that we deserve better, not a reminder of failure. In some cases, gratitude quietly replaces resentment. Not gratitude for the pain itself, but for the strength it uncovered within us. We discover resilience we never knew we had. We learn to stand alone, to protect our boundaries, and to prioritize our peace. The person who caused the pain becomes part of the story that led us to self-discovery. It is also worth noting that memory fades in layers. First, the sharp pain dulls. Then, the emotional charge weakens. Eventually, only the lesson remains. At this stage, the person who hurt you exists more as an idea than as an emotional presence. They symbolize an experience, not a longing. Life is a continuous process of becoming. Each painful encounter shapes us, not to harden us, but to refine us. We become more selective, more aware, and more compassionate, both toward others and toward ourselves. Remembering those who hurt us is not a sign of weakness, it is proof that we are human. In the end, forgetting pain is a natural part of healing, but forgetting people is not always possible. And that is okay. What matters is that their memory no longer controls your happiness, your decisions, or your future. You carry the lesson, not the wound. The heart learns to live again, not by erasing the past, but by placing it where it belongs, behind you. The one who caused the pain becomes a shadow of a former chapter, while you continue writing new pages filled with clarity, strength, and peace.